Hey guys, how you doing? This is Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, Jay Miller, if you like. So just want to bring some observations from the Cowboys Rams joint practice. So one of the players that stood out to me right away was Jalen Cropper. He had a nice catch on the sideline. It was a pass from Trey Lance outside the numbers, which a lot of people have been criticizing him for being able to make throws outside the numbers. That throw was awesome. Jalen Cropper went up, high pointed the ball, brought it back down in bounds. It was a pretty good play. Now, there's a chance that play also could have been made by Ryan Flournoy. The reason why I say that is because the jersey was rolled up, so you couldn't really get an idea as to for sure who the number was. Because these guys sometimes they like to show off their six pack. So it was one of those situations where the guy had the numbers rolled up and had his belly showing, and it wasn't TBJ. I know Tyron Billy Johnson is pretty much known for that look, but it wasn't him. It was one of those guys, but I'm pretty sure it was Jalen Cropper. Awesome play. Another person who stood out to me was Mozzie Smith. Everybody's been trying to pile on Mozzie Smith, throw dirt on Mozzie Smith, saying, how he's not necessarily living up to his first round expectation. I get it. He's not going to really get his flowers until he starts doing things in the regular season. But there were several times where the offense was running a drill against the defense, Rams offense, Cowboys defense, and it basically was five guys lined up like they're gonna, run a play. No outside receivers, no running back, no quarterback. And then on the defensive side, it would be the four down defensive linemen lined up over the offensive linemen. They would blow the whistle, but only one lineman would rush. So basically a one on one drill, but they wanted to get you a feel for how it would be if it was a typical game day and it's the four down linemen rushing against the five offensive linemen. And Mozzie Smith was using swim moves, he was using rip moves, he was using pure power, but he was giving those Rams offensive linemen, and it was their first team offensive linemen, pretty much all they could handle. There were several times where he quickly beat, whether it was the center, whether it was the guard, whoever they had him go against in the drill, he was beating these guys up pretty quickly, pretty viciously. So Mozzie Smith was looking pretty awesome. Another person who stands out, and I know I don't like to talk about a lot of the main guys because, according to, the way the team is constructed, there should be certain guys that stand out pretty often. But Brandon Cooks, man, he was cooking. He was chefing it up. Anywhere that he went, whether it was inside, whether it was outside, whether he was crossing routes, short routes, deep routes, he was getting open. He was making plays. Dak was finding him. So it looks like Brandon Cooks, is already pretty much in regular season form at this point. Maybe he had a little chip on his shoulder because they were doing a joint practice against one of his old teams, but he looked pretty awesome. One of the other people that stood out for me pretty well was Ezekiel Elliott. I've personally been throwing dirt on Ezekiel Elliott, but there were several times today where he kind of got loose, man. Like the line was coming off, they were firing, they were blocking, they were opening up holes, and Zeke was hitting the holes, and he was kind of making some nice moves to make people miss and get further down the line. If this was a regular season game, some of those carries probably would have went for 7, 8, 9, 10 yards. Now, he did also have a fumble, and it was a pretty careless fumble. He got open in the back, in the secondary on the second level, made a guy miss, went in. It looked like, hey, this would have been the point that he got tackled, but someone came in, punched the ball out, ball went to the floor. Rams picked it up. They were happy. So there was that. Rico Dowdle looked pretty awesome as well. There were several runs where he just kind of showed some burst that I wasn't necessarily thinking that he had, but he showed it today, and he got to the second level, sometimes even the third level. There were times where he got there untouched, so it was nice to see the running game kind of working pretty well. But on the same token, a person like Chuma Adogo was getting beat up pretty badly in the passing game. Rams had a defensive end, Verse, and he was beating up Chuma Adoga on several reps that I saw today. This wasn't necessarily in those drills that I was explaining earlier, where the offense kind of lines up like they're going to run a play, or at least 5 down linemen, 4 defensive linemen. This was in team drills. And, Chuma Doga was setting and Verse was tearing them up. So that doesn't look so good because, most of us think, or at least I think, let me not speak for everybody else, let me speak for myself. I think there's a solid chance that Chuma Doga is starting week 1 against Myles Garrett. So if Jared Verse is giving him work, Myles Garrett might, kind of put a hurting on that boy. But other than that, some of the other things that kind of stood out as we were going along, Jake Ferguson was making several nice catches today. It looked like Dak targeted him several times. So it looks like Dak is kind of very comfortable with Jake Ferguson. He's looking for him pretty often, and he's connecting with him pretty often. Ferguson was running drags across the middle. He was running delayed routes. What I mean by delayed routes is when the play snaps, tight end pretty much pretends to combo block with the tackle on whatever side he is. And then after he pretends to combo block with the tackle for a little while, he kind of sneaks out, whether it's into the flat, whether it's straight up, whether it's a hook, whether it's a curl, whether it's a drag route, could be a dig. But whatever he's doing route wise after he combo blocks. So the coverage kind of sneaks off him a little bit, and boom, he's able to sneak out. And Dak was hitting him several times on things like that. It was looking really good. Trey Lance had a couple touchdown passes today. There was one play going to the offense's left and the defense's right, where he did the read option to the running back, and then he kind of rolled out to the opposite way to that defense's right, offense's left, and then got the linebacker and the cornerback to commit up a little bit, and then boom, hit the touchdown pass to the receiver. But the footage that I was looking at was kind of blurry. It looked like it was Cavante Turpin to me, but I couldn't quite tell. So I don't know who I want to give that credit to, but it basically hit the receiver in the end zone, touchdown, good to go. So there were also several interceptions by the defense. Kalen Carson made an awesome play. I know you've been hearing his name all training camp. It was nice to see him do some of those things against a team that he hasn't had reps against. One of the things I was saying in the earlier videos was, hey, I want to see what happens when a wide receiver that he hasn't practiced against every single day gets to the top of his route. Kalen Carson doesn't know where he has to go. He wants to read that receiver's body language, whether it's how I often use the hips dropping, whether it's shoulder movements to give certain cues away as to where he's going to break once he gets to the top of his route. Kalen Carson looked pretty awesome today covering those things. So did Jordan Lewis. I saw Jordan Lewis have a nice pass breakup as well. Trayvon Diggs wasn't out there much. I did see Eric Kendricks. Eric Kendricks had a nice stop over in the flat. The Rams went to play to the defense's left, which is to the offense's right. And Eric Kendricks was out there to stop the running back for a check down. It would have been pretty much no gain or a tackle for loss. So those are some of the guys that stood out to me today. And once I get more footage, so this is just based off of the footage that I was able to gain today. I haven't seen some of the higher quality cut-ups that I'm looking for, but those will be showing up here in the next day or two. So I'll be taking a look at those and kind of giving you some more standouts from what I saw. This is game week, so it's awesome. Cowboys get to play the Rams on Sunday. And, I'm saying I'll be taking a look at that as well, watching every snap, seeing who's doing what, seeing what to expect from some of the younger guys, because I don't think you'll see much of what your actual 22 starters, 11 on offense, 11 on defense will be once the regular season comes. So we'll be looking at a lot of the younger guys. We'll be looking at some of the veterans. I expect Mozzie Smith to be out there. I expect number 94, Marshawn Nealon to be out there. I expect Leofau to be out there. As far as defense is concerned, I think you'll see probably about 60 to 70% of what the starting defense might be. On offense, probably a very similar number, maybe a little bit lower. I don't think you'll see Dak. I don't think you'll see Zeke. I don't think you'll see Zach Martin. I don't think you'll see Brandon Cooks. But short of those guys, I think you'll see pretty much every single other guy on offense. So we'll be looking for that, as we get closer to the game day, coming Friday, Saturday. Hopefully, I'll try to nail down who the starters are and kind of see some of the things we can look for going into the game. What you should watch for with your favorite players, what types of things say that the Cowboys have had a successful game, and what types of things have said that they don't have a successful game. Because we're not looking at the end result, we're not looking at the score. Even today, the Rams a few times. There were times where Matthew Stafford would have been sacked. There were times where Dak Prescott would have been sacked, and they let the play continue. Like Micah Parsons was like wreaking havoc back there for the Rams. Verse was over there wreaking havoc back there for the Cowboys. And a lot of times those plays would have been pretty much dead in the water. But the officials let the play continue, the teams let the play continue, and they tried to see, hey, can you make a play? Can the receiver make a play? Can the quarterback make a play? I remember Micah Parsons would have sacked Matthew Stafford, and then Matthew Stafford threw the ball. It got tipped, but it got tipped right back to him, and he ran it in for a touchdown. Now, it looks bad for the Cowboys defense if you're just looking on paper, and people on Twitter and X are going, hey, man, the Cowboys let up a touchdown to Matthew Stafford, man. He got off the left side, boom, boom, boom. But some context, the play would have been dead. Micah would have took him down. It's just what it is. But there were also plays the same way for Dak. There were plays where the Cowboys scored a touchdown, but Verse would have absolutely brought Prescott to the ground, or at least put a hit on him. Hey, who knows? Maybe that guy spins out. Maybe he makes a huge play that we don't normally see in the NFL. But for the most part, most likely it would have been a sack. So looking forward to the game, because in the game this weekend, they'll get to bring Trey Lance down. They'll get to bring Cooper Rush down. They'll get to bring whoever the Rams' second and third QB down. So it'll be nice to see what happens when we don't have to stop before we finish our contact. But, just wanted to touch base with you guys, let you know what was going on. Thank you for tuning in. This is J Miller if you like. If you like the video, subscribe, and if you want me to cover anything in particular, put it down below in the comments. But this has been Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, J Miller if you like. Peace.